Hey, hey! So, my first video today is entitled, Now What? Now What? And I think that my first week being narc free, I asked myself the whole week, now what? Now what? Because if you were like me, you spent your whole life for the last 2, 3, 10, 20 years, however long that you had that narc in your life, trying to make him happy, or her, because that's what it ends up being, is us giving and losing all of us to make that narc happy. So now, what do? You know, I sat around for a week thinking, what am I going to do? I think I had even lost my identity. And so I started thinking about the TAMI that I was before I allowed him in my life. I was happy. I was content. I was a very physical person. I loved to exercise. Well, more walk than exercise. I was never one, I think I would spend at the max an hour, maybe 2 a day on a TV. I read books. I loved to read. I loved to spend time with my animals in the yard, throwing a ball, playing, walking them. I loved to clean house. I loved to clean body. I loved people and music and dancing and thrift store shopping. I lost all of that. And you know, I didn't even notice it was gone. So when I realized that I was finally over it, I had to take time just to sit down and realize what was important to TAMI. And I suggest that's what you do. And that's why I've titled this, Now What? Now what do I do that I am narc free? Well, it's obvious that we need to heal. And I have to say that not everybody's journey is going to be like mine, where when I finally got rid of him, he was just gone. Trust me, there were many, many times that I spent weeks crying. I was unable to get out of bed. I was unable to look at myself, to shower. I had no desire to even carry on a conversation with somebody. It was terrible. So this is for those who are past that extensive pain, that soul-breaking pain. This is for those, or those who are going through that want to know what it's going to be like, or maybe how to push yourself to get to that point. But the first thing you have to do is to realize that you are the most important person in this world. And I know we love our children, I know we love our parents and our siblings, but the fact is, until you can look at yourself in the mirror and go, you mean more to me than anything. Because it may sound selfish, but you need that. You need self-love. You need self-compassion and self-understanding. And you need to forgive yourself, because it wasn't your fault. It was not your fault that you fell in love with a narcissist. It's not any of our fault, but it's not your fault. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. And then sit down with a piece of paper and go back to that person you were before that narc walked into your life. What did you like to do? How did you spend your time? Did you wear makeup every day? Did you work out every day? Did you shop every day? Did you go out every day? How was your friend circle? Because I know you ain't got no friends now. Narcs never leave us with a friend. And if we had a friend, our friend has been lied to and is under that spell. So I want you to sit down and I want you to think deeply about the things that you used to do, the things that used to make you happy. Because the fact is, on this earth, we are responsible for making ourselves happy. We can't look to anybody else to bring us happiness. You have to seek it yourself, and you have to find it. It could be as simple as a hummingbird or a flower or your dog giving you that one special little look. It could be anything. Anything at all. So I want you all just to take a minute. I want you to sit down, and I want you to get a pad and a paper, because that's going to be your goal book. Go back to the person you used to be. Think about that person extensively. Even think about how you loved that person. What it was you loved about that person. Because right now, your goal is to become that person. A wiser person. Because we don't want to ever fall for another narc. But the fact is you have to start healing. And we can talk to psychiatrists and counselors. We can talk to tons of people. But the fact is it's within your own heart, your mind, within your own spirit. How fast you heal and how you get there. It could be a self-help video. It could be a self-help book. It could be a book that takes you into a fantasy that you don't have to think about where you're at. But it's so important to remember the person you lost before that narc came in your life. That trusting, loving, happy person that had beliefs, who knew the world was good and that they were waiting for that prince or that princess. Because that person is still out there. Yep. I know you may not be thinking about another mate at this time, but that person is still out there. You just got sidetracked. But what do you want to give them? You want to give them a whole person. Now, I know there's going to come a time when we have to sit down with our new mates and tell them, maybe not everything, but let them know that there was damage done. And if you can't seem to find that happy medium, I do suggest a therapist or a counselor, somebody you can talk to, somebody who won't belittle you or cut you down or think it was your fault, because anybody who knows about narcissists know that it's not the victim's fault. And speaking of victims, I don't put myself in that category. I never have. And I don't want you to put yourself there either. Nope. Not even a victim of circumstances. We need to take what happened to us and not let it destroy us, but let it make you stronger. Now we have tools we never had before. We know the traits of a narcissist. We know when to run. The minute the love bombing starts, turn tail and scoot. So what made you happy? What made you happy before your narcissist took over your life? I spent a week. I used to love to just ride my scooter and get what they call wind time. I used to love to read. I would pick up a book and read for hours, days, until I finished it. I walked every day, whether I needed to or not. Rain, snow, it didn't matter. That was one of the things that made me happy. I showered every day. There was nothing that made me feel better than to get in and wash my hair, clean my face and my skin. And yes, that's something we all get out of. So the main thing you want to do is to find the things and bring back, work at bringing back the things that used to make you who you were. You have to find that love for yourself that they have taken from you. You remember, narcissists are energy-sucking vampires. They have sucked every bit of energy from you, positive and negative. They've sucked your life force from your body. They've sucked from you who you are to your very core. Because they are empty. They have to suck us because they don't have anything. They get their identities off of their supplies. And now you need to find who you were and take it back. And the one thing, and the first thing above all, is forgiving yourself. Forgive yourself for the times you took them back. Forgive yourself for being foolish enough to believe their words or whatever it was. Forgive yourself. If you have to look in that bathroom mirror every day and go, I forgive you. I forgive you. You will mean it. But for this week, what I did my first week out was I sat down and I wrote a list of the things that I used to do, that I used to love to do, against a list of the things I don't do anymore, and against a list that I do. And you will be shocked. The things you used to do, you probably don't do any of them anymore. The things you do now are probably so minimal that you look at that list and you go, how did I ever get everything that I like to do in? It'll amaze you. It's the first big insight to the person you used to be, to finding that person. And that's what all of us want. All of us want to go back to who we were, where we were, and what we were before these monsters walked into our lives and stole it from us. So, what worked for me was I sat down in the first week, and I didn't rush it through in a day, but I sat down for the first week, because you're going to find yourself looking around going, what the hell do I do now? You might find yourself depressed. You might find yourself numb. You might find yourself fearful of the inability to love or give again. So, what worked for me was I spent the whole week writing what I used to do, what I do, and the things that made me happy. I'm only going to share the things that have worked for me. And if you'll just take this time, invest in yourself. And what I've done after that is I took the first thing on my list that seemed the most important, because then I prioritized my I used to be list, and I used to like to do list. I prioritized it in the levels of what meant the most to me and what made me the happiest. And then I started working on number one. And my number one was sleep. And we'll touch on that the next time. But for right now, I want you to go into the bathroom. I want you to tell that person in that mirror how much you love them, how much you forgive them, and tell that person that we are going to make it, because you will. Peace and love until the next time.